60 of the children separated from their immigrant parents at the border are on their way to Michigan.
A lot of things could happen, and there are a lot of long-range impacts for this, and that's what's scary.
What happens to these children now?
Working for you. Fox 2 News at 10 starts now.
New tonight, immigrant children separated from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border will soon be coming to Metro Detroit.
Foster care agencies now in uncharted territory as lawmakers in Washington debate policy.
Taryn Nash here now to tell us how those agencies are facing new challenges tonight. Taryn.
Well, there are many, especially because in the past, the federal government, we're told, made keeping parents with their children a priority. But now, no one knows for sure what will happen to them.
You are listening to heartbreaking audio obtained by the Associated Press of kids crying at the border after being ripped from the arms of their parents who are being detained under the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy for illegal immigration. Outrage is growing as both Democrats and some Republicans work to stop the separation of these families. Over the last 6 weeks, more than 2,000 children have been separated from their parents and are now being held at detention centers at the southern border.
It is very, very scary, and the fact that we're not sure what kind of due process is being done, it's pretty scary right now.
Lena Wilson, the vice president of Child and Family at Samaritas, Michigan's largest private foster organization, recently agreed to help find homes for 60 children being held at the border. Wilson says this is new territory.
It wouldn't be even often in the United States that you'd see a large congregate facility for children the way in which you see children being housed now. In fact, there's been federal legislation that talked about the best place for children is with families. We're not sure how this is going to work. There's several things that are in play that aren't usually in play once the parents have an English barrier and the child has an English barrier. So our real concern is making sure that we can communicate with them, making sure we have interpreters, and making sure that the parents know where their kids are and they don't get lost.
And that is the biggest fear right now. Undocumented parents are working through the criminal system while their kids are being placed in foster care. Some children so young they aren't able to reveal basic information about themselves or their parents. The big question now, who is keeping track of these children?
For those that I guess we can locate parents and we can figure a safe way to make sure that they're reunited, perhaps. If not, they would remain here, and so their legal jurisdiction would be in question.
Wilson says they expect the displaced children to arrive in Metro Detroit by the end of the summer. They will first be housed at the Wellspring facility in Farmington Hills and eventually foster care. The Samaritas organization quickly working to get more foster parents, mentors, and interpreters to make sure support is in place for the kids likely traumatized by being taken from their parents.
No matter how nice a congregate facility is, it's still a congregate facility, right? It's a really sterile environment. There's not a lot of kind of structure and caring and hugging and that a child needs from a parent. A lot of things could happen, and there are a lot of long-range impacts for this, and that's what's scary.
And to be clear, there is no law that dictates children must be separated from their parents when caught crossing into the country illegally. However, there are laws against entering the U.S. illegally and how long children can be held in immigration detention.
Just today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions says he hopes that the separation of children from their parents will serve as a deterrent, but there's no concern whatsoever for the long-term impact on these children.
No, I mean, we were talking about that today, Lena Wilson, and she was saying how this trauma will be manifested cognitively, how it'll affect their behavior in the future and relationships emotionally. I mean, the potential damage is just unknown at this point, but you just hear that, and as a parent, really can't imagine.
Oh. And yeah, as a parent, not knowing where your child is, that is the most terrifying thought.
Yeah.
Yes, and many of these people had left their country because they were feared of being killed. So, I mean, and there's a lot, obviously, and there's certainly both sides to this issue, and illegally and undocumented workers. But the fact is you're ripping families apart, and we're going to still see the effects of that.
And some of these children are so young, they can't say to the authorities the mother's name, where they're from, this is who I am.
There's potential they could be lost in the system.
All right, much more
Something has to change right now.
definitely.
Thank you, Tam.
All right.